Hi, I'm Jean Shafiroff, and I'm on a mission. Anyone can be a philanthropist. My television show came from my book, Successful Philanthropy, How to Make a Life by What You Give. Won't you join me? Welcome to Successful Philanthropy. I'm your host, Jean Shafiroff. Today's show is about a very special camp for children with physical disabilities. This camp was founded in 1901 by a concerned group of women and men here in the Southampton community. With us today is Tom Naro. He's the executive director. Today, you're going to learn a tremendous amount about a truly special place that not only deals with a local community, but serves the entire world. Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. And can you tell the audience a little bit about the Southampton Fresh Air Home?
Of course. Well, first of all, Jean, thank you for having me. I really appreciate your inviting me onto the show. It's a very nice experience.
Thank you.
The Southampton Fresh Air Home is a camp, as you said, for physically challenged or physically disabled children. And it's like any other camp. It's a place where children come to mature and learn independence and find themselves. And because these children have physical disabilities, doesn't make them any different from other children. They still want those things. And what we try to do is create a real magical experience for these children. It's often their first time being away from their parents, who are their primary caregivers. So it's their first taste of independence. As we are a sleepaway camp, we try to do 3-week sessions. We do 2 3-week sessions each summer, and we do a 1-week session as well. And we just try to create a camping experience where these kids have a chance to find friends and mature and be amongst their peers and be in the country and enjoy the same things we all like to enjoy about the local area.
I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I've been to the camp a few times. And as you know, I love the work you do because you have some extraordinary fundraisers that I've been supporting for quite a while.
Yes, thank you.
I want to hear about the group that started this camp originally in 1901. They must have been a very extraordinarily special group of people.
Yes. So the history of the home is that the group was actually founded by women. And so the majority of our board is all women because it was founded by women. And it's a very caring group. It was a caring group back then, and it's a very caring group now. And it was created to offer sun and fresh air to city-bound children who had physical ailments. And over the years, the children we serve, the number of children has grown exponentially. From the first summer of 10 children, we now provide camp to 150 children each summer. And I'd say 70% of the children need wheelchairs or crutches or walkers for mobility. Many of the children have one-on-one care needs, so we have a very big staff.
And a very special staff.
A very
correct?
special staff, a lot of training.
Highly trained.
Yeah, and a very special group. We spend a lot of time meeting the staff and making sure they're going to be able to do the work. We really try to pick the cream of the crop to come and take care of our children during the summer.
Yes, and I have observed when I've been there, which hasn't been many times, but enough times to see that it's a very happy place. And I think that's key because you are bringing so much life to these children who otherwise would be city-bound or homebound.
Yes.
And their contact with their peers would be much less. Now, you have an extraordinary board, a great group of women, and I guess this has been going on for many, many years, and I so admire everyone involved in the camp. You have a great staff, And you are a great leader, and I know
Well,
you've been
thank
at the
you.
helm for quite a while. How many years has it been now?
I'm there 13 years.
Mhm.
I'm the executive director for 10 now.
And I think it's a labor of love as I see it.
It absolutely is. I just love I love what we do. I love the children. It's so special when the children are there, and I'm actually very happy to report that despite having to cut back our programming during COVID-19, we've returned to some in-person programming. Not overnight right now, but we are running day trips for children. Where we're doing last weekend, we had a small group out around Halloween for pumpkin carving. We're going to be doing some lunches next month, and we're really trying to get back into it and really hope to be full steam ahead by summer.
Yes, and tell me a little bit about the network of who comes to the camp. I read that your network is worldwide, that people come from Europe, from California, from all over the world to visit, not to visit, but to be at the camp as students. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that is. The majority of the children we serve come from the 5 boroughs of New York City, Nassau and Suffolk County. Then you have a lot of kids from New Jersey and Connecticut. But because what we do is so specialized, people hear about us, and there are not a lot of places that do what we do. We are the camp that really tries to take the children that other camps can't handle. We have 24-hour nurses, and as I said, our staff is trained to be able to handle a number of a lot of their care needs.
Well, children with physical disabilities on different levels is what I saw
Correct.
when I was there.
Correct.
And a loving, caring staff and a very specialized staff, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And how do you choose your staff? I understand they come from all over the world as well to work at Southampton Fresh Air Home.
That's correct. There is a cultural exchange visa program, and we work with an organization called Camp America, and a lot of the counselors come over from Europe on J1 exchange visas, and they are with us for the summer, and they get to learn a lot about America and a lot about the local area. They get to travel, they get to go to the city, and they get this incredible work experience.
And training, I would imagine.
And training, and we have a lot of American staff as well. And what I have seen over the years is so many of our counselors go into related fields. If they're not already studying those fields, physical therapy, occupational therapy, nursing, medicine. It is not only a life-changing experience for the campers, but it is a life-changing experience for the staff that work there.
And what about the families? I would imagine the families are forever appreciative and grateful because their children or their child is having a very unique experience and one that really opens up socialization and education and then just fun. And
Well,
we
that's-
all need a little fun, especially children who find it more difficult.
That's right. For parents who have a special needs child, the break that they get when their child comes to camp, whether it be for an overnight, 1 week, or 3 weeks, is a very important break for them. And we try to create a very safe environment, but also a magical environment. A lot of our children call us their Disneyland because there's no place that they can go and have the freedom that they have when they're with us. And for the parents to know that their children are in a safe environment, being well cared for, they get to go on a little vacation or just have a rest. And the children get to meet new friends and socialize, and the independence that they gain. We've seen so many children, and so many parents have told us they never thought their child could go off to college and live at college. And what the children learn being with us is how to let other people care for them. And that's an important lesson.
And that's a wonderful thing that you're doing for these children. And last night when I was on your website, almost tears came to my eyes, and they were tears of happiness because I said, "This is extraordinary." And every time I've seen the work you're doing in action, I so admire everything. And
Thank
now,
you.
are you government funded? Or is this all privately funded? I know
We
you're a 501c3 and you've been a 501c3 for a long time, but where does the money come from?
the money, the majority of the money comes from private fundraising. About 10% of our revenue comes from camp fees. Some parents do pay a small prorated fee. Most families receive financial aid on top of the prorated fee.
Which is a very good thing because most people probably could not afford summer camp,
That's
especially
correct.
with a situation like this.
Families that have children with physical disabilities and with special needs, it's a lot more expensive to take care of them. And running a camp for physical disabilities is a lot more expensive because of the care needs, because it's so much one-on-one. We actually have more staff than children during the summer when you count in the counselors, the direct care counselors, the activities directors, the kitchen staff, the cleaning staff, the lifeguarding staff, the waterfront staff. We have about 50 campers and about 60 staff at any given time.
And what is the age group that you serve?
Our children who come to the summer camp are 8 to 18. What we have found is that 18 is a very early age to sort of break ties. So we continue with them through a lot of the off-season programming and a lot of alumni programming. And so for a lot of the off-season weekends, it's older young adults who still benefit from being part of the organization and participating in our programs.
Which is very special and very important because one of the big problems with many programs is that children age out at age 18. And then
Right.
what do these young people, or I shouldn't say children, but young adults, where do they go and what is left for them in terms of fun and socializing? And especially children with physical disabilities, life is not as easy. And so what I'm hearing is that you make transition to adulthood much easier by continuing the programs.
Correct. That was very, very important to us as we were developing the off-season programs over the last decade. Was figuring out a way that we could continue to serve children who aged out of the summer camp program. And really, even more interesting is over the course of the last few years, we had a camper advisory committee that has morphed into an advisory board.
Mm-hmm.
And we now have voting members of our board who were campers or parents of campers who really guide so many of these decisions and play an important role in how we plan our programs now.
Because they know firsthand.
They've been through the program or their
and,
child has been through,
Mhm.
and they know what the needs are.
And what a smart thing to do. So
Yeah.
it sounds to me like you are premier, maybe in the country, if not in the world, for what you do. And viewers, we are speaking with Tom Naro of the Southampton Fresh Air Home. He's their executive director. He's been with them for 13 years. We are learning about a camp for children with physical disabilities. And Tom, now, if I wanted to volunteer at the camp, would there be an opportunity for someone like me or, say, for a young person to volunteer and get involved?
Well, there are opportunities. Working directly with the children is a little difficult because it involves so much training and really so much background checking. We're very careful about who has access to the children, as you can
Very
imagine
important.
in this day and age. But we have some fantastic fundraisers. We do every June. I know you've been there. I've seen you shopping. Yes, we have the Decorators, Designers, and Dealers sale, and we collect donated furniture throughout the year. We set it up as a designer show house at the camp about 3 weeks before the children arrive for summer camp, and we have over 100 volunteers who help us that night. And they are salespeople, cashiers, they do auction checkout, they check guests in, and it's a really great night and actually a full weekend because the sale continues the next day for
Yes.
anything that didn't get sold.
It's a lot of fun. I know I've picked up some great, I would say, buys
Yes, I
and
know.
fun items at that sale. And then you have a big firework party, don't you?
We do on July 4th weekend. Every year we do Southampton's fireworks, and we have a wonderful party at the home of one of our board members. It's a barbecue dinner. It's a very casual picnic. And then the night ends with a fabulous fireworks display over Shinnecock Bay that the entire community gets to enjoy.
And it's been a lot of fun to go to that event over the years. And of course, this year, because of COVID, I know you didn't have it, but it's such an important event that even the New York Times comes and shows their support by taking photos and then publishing them. And I just want to thank the New York Times. Thank you for supporting Southampton Fresh Air Home and so many other wonderful charities because it really helps and makes a difference. And now, so what is your budget like annually? How much does it take to run this camp?
We look, our budget is about 1.3 or 1.4 a year, 1.3 million and 1.4 million a year. And we raise a good portion of that money through the two fundraising events. And actually, we didn't have the fireworks, the picnic last year, but we did have the fireworks, and people were very generous. So that was awfully nice. I know you made a generous donation, so thank you.
Well, I remember that the event wasn't virtual, but if you were in the vicinity of Southampton, the fireworks went on, and so people went outside and tried to watch, and many were able to watch. I was a little far, and I didn't want to travel too near because of COVID restrictions, but it was still an event you held.
So many people got to enjoy them, so that was nice.
And your donor base is extraordinary, and I'm in comparison to your big donor base. I'm a small donor, but as I've learned, every little bit helps.
Every donor is important.
And so for our viewers who want to donate, how do they do this? And is it easy to donate or get involved?
Yes. So we have a website, like most organizations. Ours is sfah.org, and you can go onto our website and learn more about us. From that website, you can learn how to donate furniture. We're not able to take everything because our sale is fairly specific. You can volunteer to work at the sale. You can perhaps volunteer to solicit auction items for our auction, join that committee. So there's lots of ways to help.
Which is very important because so many people want to help, but they're not sure, well, I do want to volunteer and I like what you're doing, and so how do I do it? So it's so nice to know that there are opportunities for the volunteers. I want to hear about some of the love stories because yesterday when we were on the phone, you were talking about some of the marriages that occur between the students and sometimes the faculty and everyone right now during especially this pandemic. We need to hear good stories. We need positive stories. And I was looking at some photos and I said, aren't these beautiful? Here, a camper, a male found a woman, or maybe found a partner. This is just a beautiful thing. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how these things happen. I guess people, they go to camp and they fall in love, right?
Our children are like any children. They have they meet friends and they fall in love. And we have several who met at camp who are still together. Some who have gotten married, some who've had children.
Nice.
And I'll also say we've got many counselor love stories. A lot of our male counselors come from England. Many of them have married some of our American girls, and two of them are actually still working at the camp. Our camp director and our assistant camp director are both English, and they both married women who were counselors at the time, and they've got families and they live at the camp right now. With their families. We're very fortunate to have them. The camp director's been there 27 years. And the assistant camp director started the same year that I did, in 2008. And he came every summer, and everybody just loved Nate. And, when we started to think about expanding the programs and what it would take to expand the programs, it really needed a second person to run these year-round programs. And at the time, Nate was getting married to one of our counselors, who's actually an occupational therapist. And she runs a lot of our life skill lab workshops, and Nate runs all the off-season programs, and David Billingham runs the summer camp program. So it's a great community that we've built.
Yes. Now, for those viewers watching who might want to put in an application for their child, is it an easy process? How do you go about doing that? Because I think it's very important. Sometimes people say, well, you only have 50 slots, I'll never get in, so why should I even try? But how difficult is it? And if someone can't get into the camp, do you recommend alternatives?
Yes, we do. But on our website is a button that says apply to camp. And
when do you have to apply for the summer?
We start accepting applications in January.
Okay.
And we start accepting children almost immediately. The camp director is there to speak to any parents about the child, to make sure that they're right for our program. Because our program really is specific to physical disabilities. Most of our campers have cerebral palsy or muscular dystrophy or brittle bone disease. A child that has intellectual disabilities might not be right for our program.
And they would go to a different type of camp.
Yes, that's right.
And there are different
Many
types of camps available. And so when does the application process end for our viewers? So that
usually sometime in May.
May. So the period is January to May to apply to the camp.
Yes.
And how difficult is it to get in?
It's not difficult as
Great.
long as a child has physical disabilities and they would be appropriate for our programs. We work very hard to make room for every child. And, I mentioned we have 1 week and 3 week sessions. Sometimes a parent will say, I really don't feel that 3 weeks is a little too long and 1 week is too short. We'll split a session with the family. We'll say, we've got somebody coming for a week and a half. We have another week and a half and we'll fill that bed. And
it sounds like you work very closely with the families to accommodate them and also their comfort level, because I remember my daughters do not have physical disabilities, but the first time they went off to camp, I was very nervous as a parent. And any concerned parent, they say, my gosh, I'm giving my child away, even if it's for a week.
That's right.
It's a big deal.
We get phone calls and, and it's only natural. People want to know their children are okay. We actually have a no cell phone policy for the children not to have cell phones, because we feel that it takes away from their experience. And it's sometimes very hard for the parent not to be able to reach the child. But we're there in the office to answer all those calls and to make, to keep parents assured that their children are doing well. But it's a tough thing.
Well, we have 2 minutes left, so I want you to speak a little bit about the virtual program and then give everyone the website again for the donations.
Yes. So this summer in particular with COVID, we could not run a sleepaway camp, and we wanted to make sure that we ran a true recreational program that would as closely give the children the feeling of being at camp as possible. And I think,
And was it a success?
Our camp director and the assistant camp director did an unbelievable job.
Right.
We had incredible participation, incredible camaraderie. A lot of the alumni participated. A lot of the current campers participated. Parents were so thrilled that the children had a focus several times a day to join these activities via Zoom. We had a YouTube channel where we presented videos of flag raising. So we tried to make it feel like camp.
Wonderful. And finally, how to donate, how to volunteer, and how to
Yes.
apply. What is the
So
website?
once again, it's sfah.org, and those are our initials, Southampton Fresh Air Home.
And what advice would you give to someone who has a child with a physical disability and maybe they've just found this out? And what advice can you give?
Apply and trust, and the experience is going to be an incredibly life-changing experience for your child to let them have this independence.
Yes, and also to give your child a lot of love, kindness, and caring.
Yes.
I think that when there's love and there's positivity, almost anything can be achieved. And in my family, we try to give a lot of love. We try to be positive, and I think it works. So on that note, I want to thank you very
thank
much
you.
for coming in today, and thank you
appreciate
for
it.
all the great work you do. Continue it, because in my estimation, you are all living angels. You are doing the work that is so important for so many families, so many children, and the community so appreciates what you do, and the world appreciates what you do. And I hope there will be more and more camps like yours in the future, where children with a physical disability or a psychological disability or a learning disability will have an opportunity to be with other children and to flourish more and more. And there are many camps. We just need more. So
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and talk about it. I
Anytime.
appreciate that.
Thank you. And this concludes today's Successful Philanthropy. I'm Jean Shafiroff, your host. I'll see you next week.